Welcome to People for Portsmouth, and thank you so much for coming. Our mission is to achieve good governance in Portsmouth through voter registration, education, and participation. We will support candidates who govern with transparency and responsiveness, achieve financial security, encourage business growth, assure equal protection and justice for all citizens, prepare all children for educational success. That's not the sheriff's responsibility, but that's one of their goals. Capitalize on the diversity of Portsmouth's people, history, and natural resources. This year, we plan to impact the constitutional officer election. Last year, you know, we were very active in the city election. And how did we do? We did great. We did great. In fact, there's an article in Pilot Online that talks about us today and the forum, and said that all 8 of our endorsed candidates won. I'm not sure we can repeat that, but we're going to give it a try. For the constitutional officers, we know for treasurer that Paige Cherry, Elizabeth Simmons, and Ron Melton will run. They will be here next month. July the 27th, so put that on your calendar. The Commissioner of the Revenue is here. Now that lucky dog has no challengers. Frankie, you want to stand up? Where are you? So we will not be having a forum for the Commissioner of Revenue. We will be having a forum for Commonwealth Attorney, and that will be in August, and that will be Stephanie Morales and TJ Rite. Tonight, our forum is for Sheriff, Mike Moore, Glenn Perry Jr., and Bill Watson. Each position will be decided in November when we also vote for our delegates, Steve Heretic and Matthew James, Lieutenant Governor and Governor. And I'm told we also have some constitutional decisions to make about bills, constitutional bills that will be there. But tonight's forum is for the sheriff. The job of the sheriff is 3 primary activities: run the Portsmouth jail, provide port security, and civil processing of warrants. They're the 3 jobs. People for Portsmouth, before we get into the questions, invited members tonight of the MLK Political Action Committee and the NAACP to join us tonight. Are there any members here from either of those organizations? Please raise your hand so we can welcome you. Great, we're glad to have you. Thank you for coming. We also delivered and distributed a survey, both on Facebook for questions that you wanted to be asked of the sheriff candidates. And boy, did you respond. We got an awful lot of questions. And Julie Boone, sitting at the table, and her committee are responsible for making those questions ones that we're using tonight. But we got an awful lot of responses, which is exactly what we wanted, and thank you for responding. After the prepared questions have been asked, we will open the mic for a limited time for your questions if they have not been answered by the questions tonight. Our timer is Amie Creekmer. Please raise your hand, Amie. She was timer last year and did a great job. We also have as our moderator Steve Batten. Let me tell you a little bit about Steve. He's been a local radio host. In fact, he even started as a broadcaster at the ripe old age of 11. 11 years old. He was a child prodigy. And he worked in a small country station in Okeechobee in Florida and wound up coming to his home in Williamsburg years later. Steve was a morning man for many years and has worked in Texas, Richmond, Hampton Roads, most of the last decade in talk radio. He now lives in Pungo, and he currently serves as a mortgage loan officer for one of the top 10 mortgage companies in America, Movement Mortgage. Steve, we are so proud to have you with us tonight, and I'm now going to turn the mic over to you to start the festivities. Thank you.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for being here this evening. And by the way, that's Okeechobee, which is an Indian word for big water. If you look at the state of Florida, there's a big hole in the center of the state. That's Lake Okeechobee. That's where I lived and went to high school. Gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for being here this evening. The first round of questions will be yes, no questions. You have paddles in front of you. The green paddle is for yes. The red paddle is for no. Excuse me? Oh, yeah, okay. Before we do that, though, you guys drew numbers and determined the order you were going to appear in. So we'll call first on Sheriff Bill Watson. You're the first to go. You have 3 minutes? 3 minutes.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing tonight?
Great.
I appreciate y'all coming out, and I appreciate the support that y'all shown me over the years. I became sheriff in 2006, and I ran on a platform, one law for everyone. And that's exactly the way I feel about it. I don't care who you are, who you're related to, who you know, how rich or how poor you are. Everybody falls under the same law. And that's the way we run our department. All my deputies feel the same way. They can step out of their cars with their head high because they know they're doing the right thing. And I don't play politics. I don't bow down to any particular group. I've been approached many, many times by special interest groups. I'm sorry. I work for the people. And that's what I told them when I took office in 2006. I work for the people. I told them every time I don't work for the city of Portsmouth, I work for the people of Portsmouth, which is the residents. Y'all are the taxpayers, y'all are the ones that foot the bill, and you're the one I answer to. And, you know, I try to work with council and everybody on a regular basis. I'm working with our new mayor. We've got a great mayor, John Rowe. We've got a good city council, and things are working well. The problem we have right now is we're broke, but that's going to get better. We've got some good heads up there that's going to, you know, financially get us out of this quagmire we're in, and it can happen. But getting back to sheriff, like I said, I've been sheriff for 12 years. Of course, the Virginia pilot said this, I'm getting ready to go into my 3rd term. This will be my 4th term. The pilot got it wrong. But, yeah, go figure. But, you know, I've been called a chain smoker, too, and I don't smoke. So they got that wrong, too. But, you know, it's just the way it happens. But I've got thick skin, and I can handle it. And the thing is, I don't make promises I can't keep. Okay? When I was elected sheriff, I kept every promise that I made in my campaign within 30 days. That was a record. Nobody else has ever done that. And I'd never break a promise, and my employees will tell you I'd never break my word. I was raised that your word is your bond. And once you give your word, you don't go back on it for any reason, unless it's an act of God. Like if you have a hurricane or something, and I tell you I'm going to be at your house at 3 o'clock tomorrow, and a hurricane comes blowing through, that's an act of God. I can't get there. But when it clears up, I'll see you the day after. But the fact remains is, I believe in serving the people. I'm here for one purpose, for you. You put me in office, I don't own this badge, you do. You just allow me to wear it. And I'm going to make sure there's no tarnish ever put on this badge. And like I said, there's been a lot of promises made here that you can't keep. But y'all have to find out the hard way. So if there's any time that, you know, you have any questions, you call me. You don't get a deputy. You don't get a switchboard. You get me. And I tell everybody, I'm not a doctor. I make house calls. You need me, I'm going to be there. Anyway, thank you for your time, and you'll have a great night. Thank you very much.
All right, next is Michael Moore. Mr. Moore, 3 minutes, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Michael Moore. I grew up in the Cavalier Manor neighborhood here in Portsmouth. I graduated from Manor High School. After graduating from Manor High School, I attended college on an athletic scholarship and received a degree in criminal justice. I'm also a graduate of the Virginia State Police Academy in Richmond, Virginia, the FBI DEA Academy in Quantico, Virginia, and the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Brunswick, Georgia. My law enforcement career began as a trooper with the Virginia State Police assigned to Southampton County, Virginia. My federal career began as a special agent with the Drug Enforcement Administration in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The last 22 years of my law enforcement career, I've served the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, also known as the ATF, as a special agent and a supervisor. I was a supervisor for ATF in Detroit, Michigan, Norfolk, Richmond, and Charlottesville, Virginia. I recently retired, well, recently 5 years ago. After retirement, I became a college instructor. I currently teach at John Tyler Community College in Chester, Virginia, and also the Virginia Beach campus of Tidewater Community College. Why I really want to be your sheriff, I look forward for the opportunity really to serve with honor and dignity and to take the sheriff's department and the city in a positive and more professional direction. And I would humbly ask you for your support and the opportunity to lead you in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. And now Glenn Perry.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Perry, senior, not junior. You said junior earlier, I'm senior. Thank God for being here. Thank God just for being in this position. Born and raised in Portsmouth, been here all my life. I started working as a patrol aide in 1980, right here in Portsmouth. Those little white cars with the big red lights on top, you may remember that? Yes, I was one of them. I joined the force in 1981 as a sworn peace officer. Things happened in my life that opened doors left and right for me. The highlight of my career came when I was working in Swanson Homes back in the early 90s. When Swanson Homes was the worst city, worst part of Portsmouth. Crime was crazy. Everything you wanted out there was out there. They put me out there by myself, and I cleaned it up. Because in my life, God is the lead of my life. I will continue the same thing like I did in Swanson Home, I do to the whole city by way of the sheriff's department. In Portsmouth, the worst thing should be drugs, but it's not. We got to change leadership, people. We can change directions. We can improve this city. We should be the best thing around. But yet, every time you look at the news, listen to the news, we're on the newspaper about something negative about our leadership. We can change Portsmouth, give an opportunity to help you with the sheriff's department. There's a lot of good sheriffs downtown, a lot of good deputies, but we need leadership to guide us in the right direction. People, give me the opportunity. And we can change things right here in Portsmouth. We just got to change leadership. I get in, and you notice we can't change things, then other people need to get in, because we have to change more than just one person. There's a lot of people need to be voted out. Only way we can change things and improve Portsmouth by voting people. But we can change things. Give me the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, now the yes or no questions. There are 7 of these questions. And again, the green indicates a yes answer, the red a no answer. The first question, will you continue to run a program that will assist seniors and those in need of services such as grass cutting? Second question, as sheriff, would you be in favor of bringing back the DARE program in our schools? Third question, do you believe a new city jail or renovation of the current facility should be a top priority for the city of Portsmouth? Okay. Next, many citizens feel that the downtown corridor is an unsafe place to visit in the evenings, in large part due to a growing homeless population. Do you feel the Sheriff's Department can assist our local police department in making all of our city streets safer? Do you support programs that would reduce recidivism? If one is not already in place, would you implement a re-entry program for inmates? And the final question, do you support programs that would ensure mentally challenged inmates would be properly supervised and cared for? All right. Now we're going to move on to the individual questions. We're going to move in the first round in the order in which you just appeared. At the end of all of the questions, gentlemen, you're going to give your final statement in reverse order. We're trying to keep it fair. We're going to mix it up as we go through the questions. Okay? The first question goes to Bill Watson. Sheriff Watson, do you feel there are enough deputies to cover the workload of the Sheriff's Department given the budget cuts in recent years, or do you feel more deputies need to be hired?
Absolutely, we need more deputies. We had an agreement with the city when we built the new courthouse that back in 2012 that they would put 25 more deputies on because the compensation board, which supplies the money for the salaries for the deputies, basically said, we didn't tell the city of Portsmouth to build a Taj Mahal for a courthouse. You have enough deputies to cover the courthouse that you have. So once they built a new courthouse, The compensation board told the city, you're going to pay for the deputies. And they did at one time, until Mayor Rite came in, and then he cut all the funds to those deputies, cut $1 million, and we lost 25 people. We definitely need more deputies in the courthouse.
All right, thank you. Next question to Michael Moore. What do you feel are the most important issues facing the Sheriff's Department currently, and what is your plan to tackle those issues?
Thank you. I think one of the top issues is like what Sheriff Watson referred to is, of course, the understaffing. But traveling the country and having an opportunity to have worked with many, many departments across the country, no police department or sheriff department I ever worked with had full capacity or the magic number of having complete employment. So the key thing for me when it comes to the deputies that you have, I would like to see every deputy be able to be cross-trained. That means everybody, no matter what position you particularly have, is able to function in any manner or any position within the Sheriff's Department. Because the educational part about it and the training are key elements. So you should be able to work the jails as well as work the processing, as well as work the courthouse, as well as work proactively to fight crime in a partnership with the Portsmouth Police Department.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Glenn Perry, your first question. In a radio interview in March, you indicated that you wanted to help people and change people's lives. Can you elaborate on what your plan is to bring about those changes?
Yes. Right now, a lot of the inmates go to jail, maybe on drug charges. When you get there should be some type of program set up to help you change your lifestyle there. A lot of them go there and still selling drugs in the jail. They got to be stopped. They got to be stopped. If you selling drugs in the workshop, out here cutting grass, you selling drugs, it should not be like that. So those things got to stop.
All right, thank you. The next round of questions, we'll start with you, Mr. Moore. How do you plan to provide all of the services the Sheriff Department is required to provide, given the tight budget the Sheriff Department has?
Thank you again. That question is really kind of a follow-up to the one I just answered, that it's so important to make sure that the staff you have is well-trained in all aspects of their job.
Closer to the phone.
He's asking you to speak closer. I don't think he can hear you, sir.
Thank you. Again, to have the staff that's well-trained in all aspects of the job, which will actually help lessen that burden of being understaffed.
All right, thank you. Next question to Bill Watson. Please explain your actions regarding the Kenny Wright chase. Looking back, would you have handled the situation differently?
No, sir, I wouldn't. I stopped him in the parking lot as he got out of council. He was in a private parking lot. If he'd have stopped, I could have given him a warning. But once I held my hand up and he said, "Get out of my way, Sheriff," he hit the street. It was out of my hands. Everybody comes under the same law. It'd been different if the inspection sticker was 1 or 2 days old. It was 6 months old. And anybody in here with a 6-month-old sticker, you're going to get a ticket. What makes our mayor any different? He's an elected official. He's being held at a higher standard. And to drive a car to council with a 6 months expired sticker is a slap in the face to all residents in the city of Portsmouth.
All right, thank you. Mr. Perry, this question references the same radio interview. In that same interview, you indicated that there are problems with the current leadership in the sheriff's office, such as drug dealing in the jail, which you just alluded to, intimidation by the sheriff towards citizens and inmates not being properly fed. Can you elaborate on that and explain how you would correct those issues?
Yes, one thing, working downtown for 37 years, there's a lot of people talk to me. I know things that other people might not know. Some of the water, food is being watered down. The thing with the nurses, that should never took place. If an inmate complains about a nurse have been through classes, training. That's what they do. So if you're going to take an inmate word over the nurse word, bring in a dog. Bring in somebody you trust that can watch this person. But just to strip search them, any person that got a lady in their life should not allow anything like that or want anything like that. There's ways to do it. You can have one of your co-workers, somebody working under you. Watch that person for a little while. See if she come in contact with whoever's selling drugs or dealing drugs. But to have somebody strip search, as a woman, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't do it.
All right, sir, thank you. Now, in this last round, Mr. Perry, you'll go first. Again, referencing the same radio interview, you talked about forming a partnership between the police department and the sheriff's department to assist them in walking the streets of particularly crime-ridden neighborhoods to try and form a trust between the citizens of that neighborhood and the officers and the deputies. Give us your visions of how this would work, please, sir.
I was the first NIO in Portsmouth back in 1990. And what I was doing, walking the neighborhoods. And when you walk in the neighborhood in plain clothes, criminals don't know who you are, so you can get close up. And if you get together with the police department, sheriff department, walk these neighborhoods, we can stop some of this stuff going on. Because now a crook gonna see you, oh man, is that a policeman? Is that a sheriff? They gonna go somewhere else. They might leave the city. But they have them out here writing tickets is just the back door of more taxes. So I would eliminate all this ticket writing stuff, and let's walk some of these neighborhoods. Let's make the people safe at home, just like in the jails. And we can improve things, people. We got everything we need right here to improve things in Portsmouth. We have everything we need.
All right, thank you, sir. Sheriff Watson, this question goes to you. There has been a great deal of coverage about the reasoning behind the Sheriff's Department investigation of Mark Whitaker. What was the reason your department decided to pursue this investigation rather than the police department? And can you cite the law that gives you that authority?
Yes, sir. And I'm glad that question came up. The reason why the police department didn't do anything about it, because at that time, Chief Hargis blew it off. I had a Civic League president and a confidential informant come to me at my house and had a problem. I called one of my investigators and said, check it out. If there's anything to it, let me know. If there's anything to it, drop it. I'll give you 2 weeks to give me an answer. We got into it. There was so much there that when we went to the grand jury, it only took 43 minutes to get 20 indictments. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Also, what gives me the authority? Ask any state trooper to pull out their ID card, okay? And on the back of the state trooper's ID card, which y'all all, I guess, would assume that state trooper has the authority to do it. Am I correct? On the back of their ID card says, does this trooper will have the authority of a sheriff? We have full autonomy over the law in the state of Virginia. We have basically no jurisdictional boundaries other than the state line. Every sheriff works with every other sheriff in the state of Virginia. I can make an arrest in Blacksburg if I want to. The only problem is I got to go to Blacksburg to go to court. But we have authority there. And just because we don't do it doesn't mean we don't have it. The city police, they're a lot different. They have boundaries. We have the Carolina line and the Maryland line is our boundaries. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. And the final question in this round to you, Mr. Moore. Do you support moving inmates to the Hampton Roads Regional Jail? If so, why? And what are the financial benefits or detriments to the city?
Yes, sir. No, I am not in favor of moving inmates to the regional jail. And there's a number of variables that go along with it. When I ran 4 years ago, it was rumored that one of the first things I was going to do was close the jail. That was not true. Because there's a lot of number of variables. I feel like on a local level, with our city jail, that we can do a much, much better job in rehabilitating, because that's the key thing. We just don't want to keep locking people up. We want to give a constitutionally sound rehabilitative incarceration, which is really educational based and workforce development based. So in order to get that, I think we do better basically running our own city jail. And part two to that is, if we would give up those key critical services that we provide to our seniors, our disabled, and our disadvantaged. To me, with the inmates being able to carry out that work, it works twofold. It gives them an opportunity for workforce development, and it also gives them an opportunity to kind of mesh back into society as they're approaching their release dates. So definitely not in favor of moving to the regional jails. They seem to have enough issues right now of their own that they really need to get to the bottom of, and I just feel safer and more confident in the deputies that we have and the staff that we have in the city to administer those special services to those inmates. And one of the key things that go along with that is also the mental health issues. And I think we can be much more on top of that with the number of inmates that we have compared to over 1,000 or 1,500 inmates that you have at the regional jail. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Now, gentlemen, this next round of questions will go in the same order we just went through this first round, but each of you will answer the same question. So this question goes to each of you. We'll start with Sheriff Watson. What do you think should be the top priority for the Sheriff of Portsmouth at this time?
At this time, it's securing our jail. We're one of the few jails in the Hampton Roads area that has gotten 100% for 7 years in a row. No other jail can top that. In the Hampton Roads Regional Jail, the difference between Portsmouth Jail and Hampton Roads, like with the problems they've been having over there, they're not deputies, they're correctional officers. They don't have arrest powers. They decide whether you see medical or not. I have in place a foolproof method. Once you sign that slip to see medical, I don't even have the authority to override that. You will see medical, period. So that's the difference between Portsmouth City Jail and Hampton Roads Regional Jail. We don't have people just dying at will out there for lack of medical care. We had one guy there that I think he made out 13 or 14 medical slips and never got to see a doctor. Here, you make out one, you see a doctor. And like I say, I don't have the authority to override that. And that's the law that I put down when I came in as sheriff. The people come first. And they might be inmates, but they're human beings. I don't care what they've done. I'm tasked by my oath of office to make sure that I ensure the health, safety, and welfare of those inmates. Because they're mass murderers or if they're on a minor drug charge, we have to treat them all the same. You will be treated as a human being. That's the way it's going to be. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, same question, top priority.
I think the top priority would be, because we talk about all the special services that we want to create to help, immerse inmates back into society and everything else that goes on within the city jail and the courts. But I think one of the most oftentimes forgotten aspect of it is you need a great leader. And along with that great leader, you need great employees. So that means that the employees you have can never be overlooked. You have to make sure that they have competitive salaries. You want to make sure that they have fair and equal opportunities to progress within the agency itself. So I think if I had to put a cap on it, I think that would be the most important thing, because everything really starts with that workforce. When you have high morale, experienced and well-trained people, everything kind of falls into place. And I know that just from experience. I've been a supervisor in some of the toughest cities in the country. And to get agents and police officers to work behind you, it meant that they had to be well-trained, but also well-compensated. And to me, that's the most important thing, because you can't achieve all of this without a happy, or as happy as possible. You're never going to be 100% making everyone happy, but to have a well-trained force, that morale is high, because that becomes contagious. That becomes contagious. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Perry, in your view, top priority for the Sheriff's Department at this time?
I think even out the salary, the pay to the deputies. Also set up classes for the inmates to change the lifestyle. Because a lot of them get in, come out, do the same thing. I think we change the lifestyle, Portsmouth will change itself. So we need to set up more classes, more training, and even out the salary for the deputies.
All right, all right, thank you, sir. Next question, Mr. Moore, you'll be first. What will you do to build and keep a good relationship with City Council?
Just being able to converse with them. Communication is a key element with any organization. And I think once you develop that interaction, I think everything really kind of really falls into place, hopefully. And the key is that constant communication, because then you're showing respect for each other, and no one ever knows everything anyway. So to have that opportunity to sit down and talk to the mayor, the vice mayor, council members, the city attorney, I think all of those things come into play to make a great working environment. And it kind of keeps down the negativism that has been going around in this city for a number of years now. And really, until we learn to come together as a united front, we're going to have issues with being able to bring businesses into the city, because people see the fighting that goes on, the infighting. And that's one of the things that I've never been able to understand in this city that's so small that it constantly goes on. So just the open door of communication, and you don't really have to like everyone, but you really should kind of respect everyone.
All right, thank you, sir. Sheriff Watson, same question for you. What will you do to build and keep a good relationship with the City Council?
I already have an excellent relationship with City Council. We talk on a regular basis. I talked with the mayor. He was in my office yesterday, matter of fact. The mayor is supporting me. Most of the City Council, so far as I know, is supporting me. It's easy to make promises, but coming across is the real deal. Now they talk about the morale and more money for the deputies. They don't even understand the city does not pay our salary. The state pays our salary. It's up to each locality to put in money in the form of supplement. The city of Portsmouth gives each one of my deputies $2,171 a year supplement. You can go to Norfolk and get $6,000 a year. You can go to Virginia Beach and get $8,000 or $9,000 a year. You can go to Chesapeake and get $16,000 a year. But I still have an excellent rapport with my deputies, and they work because they love the Portsmouth Sheriff's Office, because they know I'm going to stand up for my deputies. I don't take complaints over the phone like the police department does. The police department's in shambles right now because they're scared to do their job because they can get a complaint over a telephone. If you want to make a complaint of one of my deputies, that's fine. You come on down, you put it in writing, and you sign it. People say, well, why do I have to sign it? Because if you're after one of my deputies, you're trying to ruin his life, I'm going to charge you with making a false report. He's going to sue you for slander. That's just the way it is. I'll back up my troops. Thank you.
Mr. Perry, what would you do to build and keep a good relationship with the City Council?
Communication is key. Open communication. You shouldn't be scared to speak the truth in an open relationship. And that's how you change things. That's how you improve things. A lot of behind the closed doors action should be taken in a negative way. We need more transparency. A lot of decisions made behind closed doors, and you get out here, you have like everything's okay, and it's not. So that's what we got to start, communication. Let the people know what's going on. Get more input from the people. Because after all, it's all about the people. And that's what I do. I'm here for the people. And Swanson Home people, that was the highlight of my career, so I'm going to go back to it over and over. People was talking to me, telling me things. That's why I improved so great. Crime went down 7-3 the first year because of the people talking with me. They weren't afraid that they tell me something, I'm going to tell somebody else. Open relationship, even in the sheriff department. You might think his deputies love him. A lot of them talk to me about what's going on, but I can't tell you because they might fire them.
All right, gentlemen, final question, and Mr. Perry, we'll start with you on this one. Please tell us why you feel like you are the best choice to be sheriff of the city of Portsmouth.
People, 37 years right here working for you, serving you with open arms. God granted me, put something in me to serve people, and I love it. I changed the sheriff department just like I did Swanson Homes, people. I've been working downtown for 37 years this year. Never got caught in a lie. Never got caught in one of those little group things where they show favoritism to one another in the groups. And that's what's going on downtown now. They showing favoritism in those groups. That's why we're so toe up. Because those groups don't want to disperse. And until we take away those groups, we're going to be the same way. We got to get some new blood. And race is not an issue. Race is not it. We got to get some new blood and some new ideas downtown to change Portsmouth. And people, we have everything we need in Portsmouth. But they sit back and don't want to change things because they're afraid of what might happen to them. You see what's going on right now. It's been in the paper, so Stephanie Morales, she stood up for herself. And look what happened. You can't be afraid, so I got to take my head off to her. Because yes, she stood up for herself. She's doing what's best for the city. She's not afraid of those three people. And that's what's wrong with Portsmouth. They want to run things. I was going to their meetings over and over. I had to stop. I just shake my head because it's ridiculous. Until we get some new blood to change some things, they're not afraid to do what's right, we're going to stay messed up. So I'm telling you people, we need to change things for people that's going to stand up to do the right thing, regardless of the money in your pocket. Because money downtown guiding things, and it's wrong. And I would change Portsmouth.
All right, thank you, sir. Bill Watson, please tell us why you feel you are the best choice to be sheriff of the city of Portsmouth.
Well, I've been sheriff for 12 years, and I have a $12 million budget, and every year my audit comes out to the penny. And I've been told many times that's almost impossible. No, it's not. If you keep good track of your money, you take care of the taxpayers' money better than you take care of your own money. That's the whole problem right there. And I got to admit with Glenn, he said the right thing, the top three. He's afraid to admit who they are. It's Cynthia Morrison, Louise Lucas, and Costello Williams. They think they own this city, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to bow down to them. They want me out so bad they can't stand it because they cannot control me. They want a yes man is what they want. And there was not a mistake to forget to file that paperwork. That was on purpose. Okay? They don't intimidate me. I'm back.
Mr. Moore?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Why do you feel you are the best choice to be sheriff of the city of Portsmouth?
I've just completed my 42nd year of public service. With my law enforcement background, I've had an opportunity to supervise people and to work some of the largest cases individually when I was a street agent. And that gave me a wealth of experience. I've had opportunities to protect presidents of the United States and foreign diplomats who visit this country. So I've had a cross-training, a wide variety of law enforcement experience. And I've also, which I think is a key element, I had to deal with the budget, and I had to administer that budget and monitor that budget on a weekly basis. And I've dealt with millions and millions of dollars as a street agent, and even more millions of dollars as a supervisor. So I have that experience. I don't sit before you as a person who just had a lot of different positions just to list on a resume, because that really means nothing unless you've actually physically done something to make life better for people. And that was the key thing that kept me going day in and day out. I mean, when I was asked to go into supervision, 3 times I turned down the government. I didn't want to move. And then I was eventually told, well, if you don't take this position or put in for a position anywhere in the country, we're going to send you to New York, Detroit, Los Angeles. Well, I decided to sign up on the line and say, okay, I will go into supervision. And of course, what happens, my first tour is Detroit, Michigan. But it was a great place to live. It gave me a wealth of experience. And I always tell people, and I do a lot of teaching at the academy down in Georgia before I retired, that when you do time in a city like Detroit or New York, it's like dog years. So you can't help but get a wealth of experience. And that's why I feel confident and comfortable. And that was one of the things that worked in my advantage every place that I supervised. Because when I arrived at those locations, those agents knew I had done the job. And those, because I supervised police officers also. So they knew I had done the job, so I had their respect from day one. And just because I had the title of supervisor, I still work with them as partners. I went in the field, and that's why I loved the position that I had, because it gave me that opportunity to take care of business, the financial aspect of the agency, as well as to still participate in enforcement operations, because the key thing was getting out and making those communities feel safe. Because a lot of those communities, even here in Portsmouth, a lot of people feel like they are locked in a prison because of the crime around them. And that's why I was an opponent 4 years ago of creating that partnership with the Portsmouth Police Department, because we're never going to be able to be at full staff, period. So to have that partnership and that unification that the city was seeing and working together, I think it can really, really turn around things. And really, I'm a people person. I mean, I love people. Like I said, I've been in public service now for 42 years. And I look forward to the next years and the years after that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Now, gentlemen, we'll go to a Q&A round as time allows in just a few moments. But before we do that, you each have 3 minutes, up to 3 minutes, to make a closing statement for this round. And we're going to do it in reverse order for the numbers you drew. So we'll start with Glenn Perry, Sr.
Yes. Once again, I'm Glenn Perry, Sr., born and raised in Portsmouth. I want to be your sheriff because I want to turn things around in Portsmouth. I want to get the people more involved. I want the police department and sheriff department connect more together to clean up Portsmouth, and we can't do it. You know, with the citizens' input on what's going on, we can't change Portsmouth people. And leadership is just leadership. We got to change that. And the leadership, I'm not going to be influenced by money. I'm not going to be influenced by who's doing wrong and don't want right done. I never got caught up in a lot of people. My integrity speaks for itself right here in Portsmouth. You can go around any corner almost in Portsmouth, somebody's going to know the name Glenn Perry Sr. or Officer Perry. I retired back in '01. I'm still a member of the Combat Attorney's Office. But I never get been caught up in a lie. Integrity is #1 on my list. And that I will always believe in. Just help me out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, up to 3 minutes, Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Status quo, I am not. Skilled, knowledgeable, and experienced. with a desire to lead the Sheriff's Department and the city in a positive, progressive, professional, and most importantly, unified direction, I am. Now, the 3 women that were mentioned earlier, they are supporters of mine, but they support me because they know I'm capable of doing the job. They know my background, they know my history, they know I'm a worker, and they know I can communicate and get along with people. So that's why I have their support. But Portsmouth is a great city. I could have gone many, many places after retiring, but I came back here. And a lot of people still don't believe the fact that even though I teach in Chester, Virginia, which is between Colonial Heights and Richmond, I commute because I don't want to leave my city. My mother is here, she's up in age. My mother-in-law is here, she's getting up in age. So it was important for me to come back here and to set my roots back in this city. And again, to continue my public service, to do whatever I can do to make this city better. And that was one of the many things that I thought about during my entire career, was to gain as much knowledge and experience as possible, because that was going to help me day in and day out on the job. But on the tail end of that also, that experience and knowledge that I was able to gain, one day I wanted to bring back to my city of Portsmouth and help out my city and my citizens. And that's why I humbly ask for the support of Sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff Watson, up to 3 minutes.
Thank you, sir, Mayor. Like I say, I've been sheriff for 12 years. Okay, before that, I was an auxiliary for 10 years. That means no pay, volunteer. I worked over 2,000 hours a year, which is considered full-time. At that time, deputies were making right at $30,000 a year. So I saved the taxpayers $300,000 by volunteer. What have y'all done? If you're so worried about the people, how come you haven't been here? Mr. Moore ran against me 4 years ago. He lost. We hadn't seen him in 4 years. All of a sudden he shows back up. But they said he was worried about the people. Then where were y'all at? I was here. I was serving, okay? They talk about a law enforcement background. As far as sheriff goes, it's only maybe 8 to 10% law enforcement. It's business administration is what it is. And I ask each and every one of you, run our credit ratings. That's the answer. Because we're supposed to serve warrants in debt on people that's not paying their bills. Well, you got to pay your bills too. You can't say holier than thou. You can't do it. You got to walk the walk, even if you can talk the talk. And that's what it boils down to. I have been sheriff for 12 years. I pay my bills and I serve the people that hire me, which is y'all. I'm hoping to get your support in November, and thank you for your support.
All right, let's give them all a big round of applause, first of all, for doing a great job here tonight. So the next thing we want to do is Q&A from you. If you have a question you'd like to ask, raise your hand. We have someone with a microphone who'll bring it around to you. I will ask that you keep it to a brief question. If you start doing long-running commentary, that's the radio guy's job, and I'll stop you. So, by the way, Mr. Moore, you mentioned that there are some people who think they know everything, but they don't. You are talking to a radio guy here, so we think we know everything. All right, any questions? And you can direct this to any candidate that you like, and then we'll give the other two an opportunity to follow up if they like. Any questions you'd like to ask?
Hi, I'm Clara Van Eck, and I live over here in Churchland. And I have a master's in history, and I want to go on into the medical field. And when I heard about the strip searches of the nurses, my question is, how the heck are we going to have medical personnel working with inmates, which is not exactly something people with medical degrees want to do because it's dangerous. Why would you strip search the nurses? 1, 2, how are you going to repair the sheriff's department reputation in the medical field in order to get more nurses working with the inmates? And this question is specifically for Sheriff Watson, and I'd also like to hear Mr. Moore's take on this as well.
I'm glad you asked that question. Okay. What it is, we had nurses that was bringing illegal contraband into the jail. We knew they were doing it, but we couldn't catch them. So what we did, we set up a sting one night. Once they walked past the door, we wouldn't let them back out. Now, they were searched by females. They were not searched by male deputies, okay? And 8 out of the 9 nurses had contraband on them. They didn't bring out that in the news. They were the ones bringing the drugs in. Every one of them got fired. And the medical company even fired them. Said, we don't want them. The one nurse that made the biggest squawk about all, she was all distraught because she was strip searched. You know what her part-time job was? She was a stripper in Magic City. So I didn't degrade anybody. They degraded themselves. They knew what the rules were. They got big signs like this on every door. It says, when you come past here, you're subject to be strip searched. And they had the gall to bring in drugs. We strip searched them, we sure did, and we fired every one of them. The nurses we have there, we don't have a problem with them because they know they're subject to strip search if they bring drugs in. And if it happens again, I will do it again.
Mr. Moore, if you want to respond. And then Mr. Perry, if you like to, you can also.
I think the key is sometimes in this line of work that has to happen. And I'm sure the Sheriff Watson, because I don't want to say that he didn't do that, I'm sure that all the employees were aware that anytime they're suspected of having contraband, they're subject to be searched. So I think that is the key thing, you know, and a lot of times you cover that at least quarterly in meetings and in in-house training, that those possibilities do exist. And that, to me, is the key thing. As long as the employees know that, and I think that was the case that Sheriff Boston was talking about, as long as the employees know, then that possibility does exist that you will have to have that kind of search, unfortunately. But that's sometimes the only way you can get to the bottom of it and stop that contraband from being smuggled.
Mr. Perry, do you want to respond also? Or? No? Okay. Next question.
Right here. My name is Contrell Devin, and this question is for Sheriff Watson. I want to follow up with the young lady who spoke about the nurses, because in the paper it did say you took unnecessary steps after you followed them as far as retaliating. But that was just responding off of her question. But my question is this. You say you have one law for everyone. I don't believe you ever explained to the people how you were caught with stolen merchandise concerning the generator, and also the accusations that you had inmates in your home getting high, as well as in the work release program. Now this is a question, and I'm asking you for you to respond. And with you saying again, one law for everyone, my mind went back to when you were being interviewed, and you took the law, you balled it up, and you threw it across the room when you did an interview with Andy Fox. What is your take on that?
Exactly. What Andy Fox was asking me was two different things. You have line items for your money, okay? You can use this money for this, but you can't use it for this. He was trying to compare apples to oranges, and Andy, it went right over his head. Either that or he just didn't want to hear it. I've never had an inmate in my home, high or sober, okay? I don't know where you got that rumor at. And number two is, we bought a generator from a company, okay? The company went under and the generator was stolen. We gave the generator back, but we wrote a legal check for that generator. So, I mean, I can't help if a company goes under and they've got a stolen generator. We bought it in good faith. But I can reiterate one more time, there has never been an inmate in my home at all for any reason. And as far as the retaliation for the nurses, what I did was, I can't fire the nurses. They work for contractors. But I can pull their clearance where they can't come in our building. I pulled their clearance, okay? The company fired them because they said they didn't want dirty nurses. And that's what it boils down to. But I thank you for your question, ma'am. I appreciate it. I'm glad we cleared the air. Thank you.
Mr. Moore, Mr. Perry, I hope you want to respond to that at all. Okay. All right. Next question.
Question, and that is, my name is Rita Bernek. I also live in Churchland. What is your position toward community policing, which has proven to be extremely effective? And I believe Mr. Perry articulated some of the values of community policing. The community has to help. 50% of the work has to be done by the community to contribute to safer communities. And it works, and I would like to know what all three of you gentlemen think about community policing.
Who wants to go first? All right, Mr. Moore.
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, it does definitely work, and that's one of the plans that I have, and I've already spoken to Chief Chapman and her command staff with that partnership effort, because that partnership effort can really get into the communities, you know, and I am an opponent of parking police cars and actually walking the beat or riding the bicycles. And I'm also for that part of the community where really you should be assigned a segment of the community. You should give the opportunity for the community to get to know the police officers and the sheriff deputies, because once you develop that relationship, it makes it easier for them to approach you if they want to give you information. So to be in one community one day and another community a week later, that format really doesn't work as well as assigning people to particular communities for a period of time, 2 to 3 years. Because that makes a huge difference also, because not only do you get to know the people of the community, but also you get to know who is in that community and who should not be in that community. Thank you.
Mr. Perry, Mr. Watson, either one of you want to?
Yes, I would most definitely do that program in Portsmouth. Because when it comes to taking care of jail, once you get it under control, it smooths up. And then instead of just sitting around in the office, we're going to get out into these communities. Sometime early in the morning, sometime late at night. It's not going to be a set time because criminals keep watching that too. There's a thing called patrol aid that I used to be in. We'll bring that program back because every funeral escort should have an escort. Every funeral procedure should have an escort in Portsmouth. I hate seeing a funeral, a home going without an escort, running red lights or whatever. So that program will come back that I used to do. Y'all understand what I'm talking about? A funeral procedure should have a funeral escort every time coming through Portsmouth. Every time. Because you're going through the red lights and half your car's back there, another half up there, and you're getting lost. And that should be an honorable thing. Honor the families. So yes, every funeral procedure will have an escort. I would bring back community policing. I would bring that back.
Sheriff Watson.
Thank you. I don't know where he's been, but every one of our funerals has an escort. We've been doing it for 12 years. Also, this is a prime example of promises made that they can't keep. The city does not pay our salary. The state pays our salary, called the compensation board. You try to take your deputies and put them in the police department to assist the police, they cut your deputies. The comp board will tell you, we're not paying you to be police officers. We're paying you to be deputies. Now, an emergency situation, a hurricane comes up or whatever, yes, you can combine police and sheriff in an emergency situation. Comp board doesn't care. But if you take your deputies, start using them as police officers, they will say, well, join the police department. We're not going to pay for it. For some reason, people think the city of Portsmouth pays deputies' salaries. They do not. The state pays all deputies' salaries. Like I said before, we get a supplement from the city, and we are the lowest paid in the Tidewood area. So they can make all the promises they want, but they can't do it. You're going to lose the deputies. Promises made, promises going to be broken. Thank you.
All right, question over here, please.
Is this on? My question is from Mr. Moore. You said that you were backed by the 3 notorious people that everybody was talking about. I'll call them Snap, Crackle, and Pop. How will you be able to, because they're obviously known for, I may be wrong in using the word corruption or bullying or whatever. How will you distinguish yourself from that kind of, how will your leadership be different? And I also understand that Mr. Watson at one time had a friendly relationship with Snap, Crackle, and Pop, and I'm not sure if that relationship, you know, went left because he wasn't a part of their agenda. But by them backing you, it seems that you're a part of the agenda that seems to be a part of the problem in the city of Portsmouth.
Thank you for the question. No, ma'am. When I ran 4 years ago, Mrs. Williams was the only person that supported me because I had known Ms. Costello Williams and her husband Junius for 30 years. So we had that deep relationship. The other 2 ladies did not support me. This time around, I didn't go out and seek any support. It was just known that they were supporting me simply because of my background. That is strictly it. And they know they don't interfere with the decisions I have to be made. They don't even interfere with the decisions that I make on this campaign because they understand that I am unbossed and unboarded. So I have no issues with them whatsoever.
Sheriff Watson, do you want to respond?
Absolutely. They don't have any problem. They're pushing for him. They're looking for a yes man. I got to admit, Glenn Perry's not going to be a yes man. I got to admit that. Okay? And like I said, where were you the last 4 years? All of a sudden, Snap, Crackle, and Pop wants control of this city. Why do you think I left the Democratic Party? Because Louise Lucas stood up and said, I am the Democratic Party. I went, I am so impressed. Here's my resignation. I will not bow down to Louise Lucas, Cynthia Morrison, anybody else in this city. I work for the people. And I'm going to be controlled. It's going to be controlled by the people. That's why I'm not with them anymore, because they couldn't control me. They want me out so bad they can't stand it. Because I'm nothing but a thorn in their side. Because I sit there and look up and say, you got to be crazy. I don't work for you. You didn't put me in office. The people put me in office. And you are who I work for, and I will never let you down. Thank you.
See, that's one of the major issues in the city. No one wants to get along. Everybody wants to, for whatever reason, create this anger situation within our city. Now, I don't know the deep-rooted relationship between the sheriff and the ladies or Mr. Perry. I really don't know. I can only speak for the relationship that I have with him, and that relationship is definitely nothing but respect for what I've done in my career. I mean, I have a pretty proven track record in law enforcement, and I'm not a yes man. I mean, never have been. Like I said, I'm the only one sitting at this table who has worked law enforcement at all different angles. It wasn't many, many years ago in this city when I worked undercover and had my life threatened and my family's life threatened. And my family had to be relocated for 3 months until they got to the bottom of what those threats were. I went away and stayed for 1 week. I came back because I wasn't going to let anybody run me out of my hometown. And plus, I was concerned about my mother and my in-laws as well. So no, I am not a yes man. I have paid my dues. I don't think anybody sitting at this table has been in critical situations like I have, where I've been in shootouts. And you don't have time to pull out a book and read. What do you do when my agents and police officers are getting shot at? You don't have a cue card. You have to have the training, the knowledge, and the experience, and the mindset. Because when things went bad for me, my blood pressure drops. And I had to, when I was in the government and the police force, everyone that came in contact with me, they knew my history. They always said that if stuff ever hit the fan, shootout, they would hope that I would be beside them. That's experience. That's not being a yes man. I mean, I paid my dues. I've had my life threatened. I moved around this country. I supervised agents from all walks of life, all colors, all backgrounds. And I'm easily able to get along with people. And that's what bothers me more than anything else in this city. And I mentioned that earlier, where we just have to get away from this negative stuff, this name calling. Those 3 women, they support me because of my background. Not because they think they can, because they know I can't be a yes man for them. Because they know nothing about law enforcement. I mean, I'm the person.
Mr. Perry, you look like you want to add something there.
He just mentioned he had to move his family because of who he put in jail. People working in Swanson homes, you had everything out there. Killers, rapists, drug dealers. You had it. Y'all familiar with it. You had some everything out there. I was out there by myself, put plenty of people in jail. Never once got threatened. You know why? Never lied on anybody. I don't believe in it. You do wrong, you go to jail for what you do. I've had guys get out of prison, walk by me, stop, turn around, and speak to me. Yes. You don't know me, man? I said, no, should I? You put me in prison. But man, you didn't do nothing wrong. So when you treat people right, you'll be treated right. You don't have to duck and dodge. And that's why I'm going to treat you right. I'm not going to lie to you about anything. Behind closed doors decisions? No, you can do it in open public. That's what I do, people. And I change things. I will continue to change things for you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We have this gentleman who's been waiting for quite a while. Sir, if you would, with your question, please.
Thank you very much. Shannon Glover is my name. And a couple of things, I did want to make a real quick comment. The question is, the previous sheriffs, some of them had programs such as DARE, where they went into schools and helped the kids and taught them about drugs and the pitfalls of those kinds of things. With the rise of opioid epidemic in our society, I'm wondering how our sheriff's office or either of you gentlemen are going to help to tackle those issues with our young people, bullying, violence, I think you can play a role in that, so I'd like to hear your ideas behind that. And the other thing, other comment I'd like to make, you know, one of the things that I'm hearing in this whole discourse is just that, you know, the anger, the disrespect that we're showing to one another. That stuff needs to stop, folks. We need to be adults and we need to conduct ourselves as adults. It's not really about the Three Amigos or Snap, Crackle, and Pop. At the end of the day, you have a choice to make. You can decide who you want to support and who you believe will be the best example of what we need in leadership as our next sheriff. And that's all I really want to say.
All right, thank you, sir. Do you gentlemen want to address the DARE question? Sheriff Watson, you go ahead first, and then we'll come in.
Thank you. Talk about schools, okay? Now, I don't know whether y'all know it or not, but the police only patrol public schools. Did y'all know that? Look how many private schools we have in the city of Portsmouth. You won't find a police officer there, but you'll find deputies. We patrol every private school in the city of Portsmouth. These are still our kids, whether they're going to private school or not. We do every one of them. And if you look at, you'll see the sticker right on the door. This school is patrolled by Portsmouth Sheriff's Office. And I'm going to tell you what, Lyons Christian, Portsmouth Christian, every one of them, they love it. Because they can't get, no disrespect to the police department, but they can't get help from the police department because they're not city schools. But they're still our kids. So you mean to tell me just because they're not going to a public school, we can't protect them? We've been doing it for years. I've got one of my commanders sitting right in this audience right now. Her deputies patrol every one of those schools. And I'll let you know, as far as my commanders go, I pick my commanders very carefully because I'll let them command. That's what I have them for. I have enough trust in them to know they're going to do the right thing. If they make a mistake, we'll clear it up. It's not a problem. People make mistakes. But when you deal with a lot of corruption downtown, I'm going to tell you, Portsmouth is one of the most corrupt cities I've ever seen. It really is. I'm not afraid to say it. They talk about Snap, Crackle, and Pop. I'm still willing to say Louise Lucas. I'm still willing to say Cynthia Morrison and Costello Williams. Apparently, I'm one of the ones who got the guts to throw their names out there because I'm not afraid of them. And I'm battling every day if that's what it takes. I didn't leave the Democratic Party. They left me because I wasn't crooked enough for them. That was the whole problem. And I'm going to tell you right now, I want to continue to be your sheriff, and I'll guarantee you I will never, ever tarnish this badge. Thank you.
Mr. Perry?
Y'all, excuse me.
Sorry, Glenn, go ahead.
All right, Mr. Moore, you go ahead, and we'll let Mr. Perry gather his thoughts.
That is one of the key components on my platform, to institute a program in a partnership with the Portsmouth school system entitled Awareness and Resistance Training. This training will be given to staff and students, and it's going to be dealing with drug issues like marijuana, crack cocaine, powder cocaine, meth, and the all very important opioid epidemic. But also that program is going to deal with bullying, whether it's cyberbullying or in-person bullying. Also, a real important key that goes along with that also is to teach our kids, and sometimes even our instructors, teachers, conflict resolution and gang violence and guns. And I know one of the key things that come up, well, how do you fund a program like this? I believe in this program so much because I started a program when I was a street agent where during my off time, I would just go and speak to students. Portsmouth, Norfolk, Chesapeake, it didn't matter, or Detroit, Pittsburgh, it didn't matter. Because that is the important thing. With me, a sheriff should have a broad vision, and not just that vision of what the court system security is wise in the jail, but we really have to take an active role in the community to make sure that anytime we can stop someone's child or loved one from being arrested, we owe that to the community. So that program is so important for me to get started that I would take a reduction in salary to get it off the ground and get it started. Because we have to reach those kids. And the thing about it, when we lose our parents, we lose our past. When we lose our kids, we lose our future.
Mr. Perry, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, I think the DARE program is a great program. It needs to be in the schools. We need more help with our kids, especially downtown. Different parts of Portsmouth need different things. Downtown is more needy when it comes to activities to do. And that's why there's a lot of things going on because recreation is piss poor. And that's because of possible recreation. So when I say leadership, it's not just this leadership. Leadership all over downtown seem to be going on the wrong direction. Recreation, you should have to call a friend or somebody else to put up a dumpster or put out a dumpster. Possible recreation should do that, but they don't want to. See, certain things really need to be done in Portsmouth. Leadership means a lot. Leadership means a lot. I can't say that over. I can say that over and over and over. Leadership means a lot, people. It's up to you. Spread the word.
All right, we have one final question. This gentleman's been very patient. Sir, if you would, with your question.
Yeah, my name is Randy Hargrave, and I live in the city of Portsmouth since 1961. I guess the question I would love to hear, I've heard compensation by the state for Chesapeake for $16,000, Portsmouth 4,000, I believe. How are those compensations determined by the state, the Commonwealth of Virginia, do you mind? The compensation for deputies, sheriff department, I understand Sheriff Watson stated that is determined by the Commonwealth of Virginia. We're compensated by the state of Virginia.
Mr. Hargrave, if I could clarify very quickly, I think, as I understand it, what Sheriff Watson was talking about earlier was what each city
Every deputy is paid the same throughout the state.
Every deputy
the city
gets
puts the money in, the supplement. The cities put the supplement in. We're the lowest supplement in the Tidewater area, actually in Hampton Roads.
So no compensation comes from the Commonwealth.
I'm sorry, what?
No compensation comes from the...
No, the compensation board pays our salary, our base salary, which is $31,000, I think $31,008. The rest is up for the municipalities to put the money in. And Portsmouth gives us $2,171.
Okay.
And the rest of the cities, I mean, you go up as much as $18,000. The Chesapeake Sheriff's Office, they're on a pay scale right with the police department. You're not going to see that in Portsmouth. Thank you.
All right, and I'm glad you asked that question, sir, so that was clarified. Gentlemen, thank you for being here tonight, for answering the questions. Thank you, people for Portsmouth. You guys, it's a great turnout for a Thursday night. Thank you for having me here tonight. Now I'd like to ask Anthony Himes to please come up.
Good evening, everyone. That was a lot of good information tonight, and I'd like to thank y'all again for coming out on Thursday night. Very, very important race coming up. Want to remind you that we are going to be running a poll on our Facebook page of who would you want to support for this important office. So it's very important that we hear from you, and there's also going to be a spot for each one of the three gentlemen you've heard from tonight. Also, some comments. Those comments are very, very important as we think and deliberate on who's going to be the endorsed candidate for the people for Portsmouth. As you know, though, elections cost two very, very important things. One is money. I hate asking for it, but it costs money to get behind our endorsed candidates, to be able to produce the literature and the advertisements and things of that nature. If we want to make that same impact that we made last year in November, we're going to need your financial support. Secondly, we need people. We need poll workers. We need people that will go and knock on doors. Be able to spread the word about those people that we choose to endorse. We did so very well last year. We need to keep that momentum going and get behind both monetary and in your people. If you can work a poll for an hour, poll worker for 2 hours, go and help and knock on doors, distribute literature of the ticket when that is decided. It's so very, very important. We do have Fred over here who's taking credit card payment if you want to do a donation to the people for Portsmouth to help us to offset some of these costs. Just these very forms, each one of these forms is over $500 to produce. So for the next three, it's over $1,500 to do these. But they're very, very important for us to be able to make good, informed decisions about these gentlemen and the people who are running for Commonwealth Attorney and those that we running for Treasurer. So We also do have a volunteer set up outside as well. Feel free to stop by, let us know. You can contact us by way of Facebook as well if you want to do that. But do consider that as well. And with that, Pam, you have anything else?
Just good night. Thank you for coming. I think it was a fabulous forum. And we are taking money. So please don't leave us without a contribution. Thank you so very much.